Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
So let us continue from yesterday. We basically said that for a pulse type motion is nothing but a finite duration loading, okay, in time, okay, in which the load actually acts for a small duration, and then we need to find out the response of the system subject to those loading. And then we started with rectangular pulse, right? This is what we did. Okay, so we did a rectangular pulse, something like this, and we said that the duration of the loading by Tn, this is a very important parameter, okay, to determine the response of the system. Okay, so remember that for harmonic motion it was omega by omega n, where omega was the excitation frequency. For a ramp loading or a step force with finite rise time, Tr by Tn was an important parameter. For pulse type loadings, the duration of loading Td divided by Tn, this would be an important parameter. Okay, and these are going to determine how much would be my dynamic response and what would be the dynamic amplification. Okay, so we said that this is our equation of motion. Okay, and for rectangular pulse type motions, I can write this as P naught for time smaller than the duration of loading and 0 for T greater than equal to Td. Okay, now we solved this and we found out that we can write this as in two. Basically, we can divide the response, okay, in forced vibration. So the response where the load is still acting, okay, forced phase, and there would be a free vibration response. So during forced response, it is very easy to calculate. Ut is nothing but response due to a step force. Okay, so that my ut by ust naught I can write is as 1 minus cos omega nt, and that could be written as 1 minus cos 2 pi by t divided by tn. Okay, I'm repeating that because yesterday, remember, we discussed different conditions, and sometimes those conditions could be confusing. Okay, and I want to ensure that all of you understand how we are dealing with those conditions to get the absolute maxima of the response. Okay, now for free vibration phase, okay, for free vibration phase, my ut by ust, okay, or let me first say ut could be obtained as initial condition generated due to forced vibration phase. Okay, so I could write this as utd cos omega n t minus td plus utd divided by omega n sine omega n t minus td. And we can substitute these values from this expression here, okay, to find out the response of the system, okay, to get what we get for the forced vibration phase. Okay, and we saw that we can write this here as 2 sine pi td by tn, okay, times sine here 2 pi. So I'm now writing everything in terms of, okay, t by tn. It is just easier for me to visualize that. Okay, so two phase responses are given here. Okay, and now if I need to find out the maximum response, then how do I do that? If you plot 1 minus cos 2 pi t by tn, how does it look like? Okay, for a forced vibration response, if you plot this, okay, this response looks like something like this. Okay, all right. Now this response, okay, let us say we want to find out maximum response. So first, again, let me go to forced vibration. Okay, in the forced vibration, my RD is 1 minus cos 2 pi t by tn. So when is RD max here? When do I get the maximum value of RD? When cos 2 pi by t is equal to -1. Correct? Then I get the maximum value of RD. And when is this satisfied? This is satisfied when T by Tn is equal to, so 2 pi by 2 pi T by Tn, when this is equal to pi, 3 pi and like that. 5 pi or so let us say we'll call it n plus 1 pi. Now in that situation, I can again write this would be maximum when this is equal to half 3 by 2, and so on, right? So RD is maximum when T by Tn is half 3 by 2 and so on, correct? So, and the maximum value of RD max is would be equal to 2, provided, at least one peak should have come here, right? Isn't it? What I'm saying? If you plot, let us say this is 1, and this one is minus, so this is minus cos 2 pi T by Tn, and this is 1. So that sum of both would provide you this expression, which we have got this as this one, and for that to happen, for at least one peak to come here, this condition should need to be satisfied, and then the maximum value become 2. And if that does not happen, then RD does not become 2. So if it at least not equal to 1 by 2, then your response is still increasing. It has not reached its peak value. So at the end of the forced response, something like this. Let us say TD is like this. If TD by Tn is greater than half, then I would have at least one peak here, something like this. If it's not, then what will happen? This, by the end of the forced vibration, this would still be increasing, and the maximum response would occur during the free vibration phase. So here TD by Tn is smaller than half. So that's why what I do, I write for forced vibration phase, my R is equal to 2 if TD by Tn is smaller than half, and it is equal to 1 minus cos 2 pi. Remember, if this is TD, at the end of the forced vibration phase, what would be the maximum response now? I can just write 2 pi TD by Tn. I don't know whether this is still the maximum or not, because from this, what we are seeing that the maximum response would occur during free vibration phase. But because this is in the first part, we are only considering the the maximum response of forced vibration phase. At the end of the forced vibration phase, this is the maximum response. This is TD by Tn. So this might not be absolute maximum response. So then I have to consider the free vibration response. And how do I get the free vibration response? If I have a system with initial condition as ut and u dot t with initial displacement and velocity, if you remember, it is nothing but, right, maximum response is nothing but from your free vibration chapter. It is something like this, correct? So if the system started with these initial conditions, then the maximum response is this. So this is the amplitude. So I can go ahead and substitute these values, and get the RD, the ratio of the maximum displacement, dynamic displacement to static displacement, as this ratio, which is equal to 2 times sine pi TD by Tn. And then we can go ahead and plot this function and then see what this look like. What happens, when TD by Tn is smaller than half, so this is this case I'm talking about. Actually, this term here that I see, is greater than 1 minus cos 2 pi T by Tn. And that you can confirm by plotting it. So you can plot these two functions together and you can plot this free vibration response together. Okay, and if we plot it, we get something like this. Okay, if we plot RD versus TD by TN, okay, we can plot, remember, up to TD by TN, forced response is, this one is 1 minus cos 2 pi TD by TN. And after that, this is a value of 2. Okay, so this is my forced response. Okay, now this response here, 2 sine pi TD by TN magnitude, if you plot it here, what will happen? Okay, let me just do it like this. It would look like something like this. Okay, although it is exactly going to cut at this point, so maybe I should draw it like this. So for values smaller than TD by TN half, this, the free response is going to govern the maximum response. Okay, this is my free response and this is my forced response. Okay, so overall, basically, RD is determined as U as 2 sine pi TD by Tn if TD by Tn is smaller than half and equal to 2 if TD by Tn is half. So as you can see, if TD by Tn is greater than half, then the maximum response is governed by the forced, during the forced vibration phase, and which is equal to 2. So this is the final expression for the response modification factor that we had yesterday, studied during the harmonic excitation. Okay, so let us say you as a designer, okay, you are asked to find out what is the maximum response of a column, okay, subject to a pulse load. Okay, now can you imagine, as a designer, it would be very, I mean, we are studying this right now, but as a designer, you are not going to solve a differential equation every time for a specific case and find out what would be the maximum response. Okay, but let us say if somebody gave you that this is a load duration, a pulse load, a rectangular type pulse, and they told you that the column is given to you. So you know the mass of the column K so that you know the time period. Okay, and if this plot is given to you that the maximum response of this column, okay, in terms of RD, which is U naught by UST naught, okay, if this chart is given to you, because remember this chart is independent of any type of a structure, right? Same, this, the only information that we have utilized to get this chart is basically that it is a rectangular pulse type, okay, loading. So if this chart is given to you, what you can do for this pulse loading TD by Tn, you can come here and say, well, for this by TD by Tn, let me find out what is the value of RD. Okay, so let us say TD by Tn is some value 0.4. And for that, you get some value of RD. Okay, so this UST naught, the maximum deformation, you can always find out by multiplying the static deformation with the RD. So RD already known from the chart. Okay, this P naught by K is also known to you, and this would be equal to RD. Okay, so using the chart, you can come and you can find out the maximum displacement in the system without you having to solve any differential equation or finding out the peak response or anything. So these type of charts are very useful in finding out the peak response of the system. Okay, for different values of Tn. Okay, and in this case, like, here it is TD by Tn. In many cases, it would be different. So this I have drawn for TD by Tn. You can also draw it for omega n. Okay, you just need to interchange, but so this type of graphs are called, okay, response spectra. Okay, response spectra. Sometimes they are also referred to as shock spectra for pulse type durations loading. Okay, now let us say I have a structure which is being represented like this model here, which is mass, the stiffness is K. And it is said that let us say I have found out what is the value of maximum dynamic displacement here. So if I know the maximum dynamic displacement, okay, can I not find out, let us say this is this much. What would be the base shear here? If it goes through a displacement u naught, okay, and this is an undamped system. So can I say my force here, if I cut it here, would be, okay, it would be whatever the stiffness of the system times u naught. Can I say that? Okay, I'm just drawing the free body diagram of this system. Okay, so let us say I have this system here represented by this mass, and this is undergoing u naught. Okay, so whatever the force here would be the spring force, right? And that I can write it here. Okay, so using this chart, I can find out the total base shear, and as you know, base shear is utilized by many codes to find out further forces in individual structural members. Okay, so this is the equivalent static force in the system. Okay, so if the deformation is given to, if you found out the deformation, then this static force can also be found out. Okay, so this type of graph, RD versus TD by TN, or like, any graph in which it is given to you as a peak response as a function of the time period of the system is called a response spectra. Okay, we will also do this for like, seismic excitations, in the upcoming chapters. Okay, but this is, I'm just giving an introduction. What is a response spectra? All right, so we found out the peak response, okay, of a system subject to rectangular pulse type motion. Okay, we are not going to do all pulse type motion, but we are going to do 2 pulse type motions. Others you can just refer to the book or any other standard text to get this chart here. And this is what is important here. So 2 things are important. It is not crucial to remember, all the equations, but it is important to remember how did we arrive at this chart. Okay, so the procedure to arrive at this chart. All right, and the chart itself. Okay, that can be utilized. So how to utilize that chart to get the response in the system. Okay, apart from that, if for any type of motion, okay, this RAD by TD by TN is given to you, you can always find out the peak response. Okay, so let us do another type of pulse type motion. Okay, and then follow the same procedure to get the response. Now I'm not going to go through the whole derivation of it because now you are already aware of the procedure to determine the peak response. Okay, so another very common type of pulse type motion is called triangular pulse or also half triangular pulse. Okay, so what I'm saying, I have a loading like this in which initial loading was P naught and then it decays to 0 over a time duration of TD. Okay, and as I said, this is an example of blast loading. Okay, now in blast loading, the loading is applied as a pressure. Okay, and depending upon the column area facing that loading, we find out the total force that is being applied to the column. Okay, so pressure times area gives you the force. So although I've written as P naught, okay, this P naught is calculated like that. Okay, from pressure and multiplying the area. So let us say my force is given like that and I'm representing this column as a single degree of freedom system. Okay, so my equation of motion becomes mu dot plus ku, and this is equal to, okay, for a force for the forced vibration phase, can I say this is P naught 1 minus T by TD? Okay, so that it is at T equal to 0, it is P naught, and at T equal to TD, it is 0. Okay, so this is my equation of motion T by TD. For T smaller than TD, so this is the forced vibration phase. And this is equal to 0 for T greater than TD. So this is the free vibration phase. And again, I can follow the same procedure that I had adopted, okay, for this to find out what is the response to the system for the forced vibration phase and the free vibration phase. Okay, but I'm not, so in this, what you will find out that using Duhamel integral would be easier. Okay, and I derived this using Duhamel integral. Okay, I derived this using Duhamel integral, so that my ut I can write it as 0 to, so let us say first is forced vibration phase, 0 to t, it is p tau 1. Okay, this would be p tau. What was the expression for this one? For undamped system, m omega n 0 to t, this was p tau times sine omega n t minus d tau. So you can use the Duhamel integral to find out the response. Remember, now your p tau is nothing but 1 minus tau by td. Okay, so you just substitute here, you integrate it, and you can find out what is your ut. Okay, so my ut becomes 0 to t. Okay, let me first write down this m omega n 0 to t. Now, this derivation is not given in your book. In your book, only a triangular pulse is given. Okay, so this you have to, okay, this you'll have to get it from this lecture or notes. And make sure that you try to derive it yourself. Okay, so this is for all values of time smaller than the time duration. So this is the forced vibration phase. So I can go ahead and integrate this to find out the response, okay, during the forced vibration phase. Okay, and this I will get it as, okay, this I can get it as the total response P naught by K 1 minus T by Td minus cos omega nt plus sine omega nt omega n divided by Td. Okay, so this is the response for the forced vibration phase. Okay, now once we have this, okay, during the free vibration phase, again, you can find out the response by using the same equation. Ut cos omega n t minus Td plus u dot Td. Okay, and this was omega n sine omega n t minus Td. Okay, so substitute the values of these parameters. I'm just going to write down the final expression. Okay, for ut would be ust naught. Okay, or I have written above in p naught by k. So let me write in the p naught by. Let us write here. This is as ust naught. So this one I can also write as ust naught times 1 by omega n Td, and then you have this term inside cos omega n Td, which is a constant, right? And then, so do not worry about the equation. I'm just writing it so that if you try to derive by yourself, you have some reference to compare to or an answer to compare to your, okay, question. Now, this is the response for the forced vibration phase. So now we have obtained the response for free vibration and for forced vibration, for forced vibration and free vibration here. Okay, you can go ahead and you can plot it like we did for other cases. Okay, one important thing to find out here in these cases is the peak response, right? To get the peak response so that I can get something like a graph of RD versus TD by TN. Because if you again look at it, the important parameter here is omega n TD. Okay, which is omega n TD. Okay, so either you write that or you write this equal to 2 pi TD by TN. So I need to plot this. Okay, now if you look at it, how you're going to find out the maximum response for this? The function is not that simple anymore. I have a linearly increasing function, which is a function of a t by td, and then I have a trigonometric function like this. Okay, so it is not simply a constant times a trigonometric function so that I can find out the maximum value. Here it is sum of two functions which are independently varied. So for this, to find out the maximum response for forced phase, all you need to do is to differentiate ut by td and equate it to 0, right? That would give you, so you need to differentiate this expression here. Okay, so let us call this as R1, or R1 is not that. Let us say you do that, or maybe it would be easier if you just differentiate this UST naught. Okay, the whole thing and equate it to 0. We will call this R1. Okay, R1 is for the forced vibration phase. R1 is basically for the forced vibration phase this. Okay, so equate it to 0, you find out the time. Okay, that leads to the maximum of this function. That would be called Tm. And you will see that you will get a only single value of the time. Okay, that means during the forced vibration phase, okay, the system peaks only once. Okay, so you will get some expression for Tm. You substitute here to get R1 max or RT1 max, whatever you want to say. Okay, the expression that you get here, I'm again going to write it so that you can compare your answers. Okay, is actually 2 pi Td times tan inverse 2 pi Td by Tn. This is the expression you get. And if you try to plot it, it would look like something like this. Okay, where it is asymptotic to the curve, it is asymptotic to the value 2. So this is ut, and this is the expression for R1 max as a function of Td by Tn, not time, but this ratio here. Okay, so this is an asymptotic function, okay, which converges to 2 for very large value of Td by Tn. Okay, so this is the maximum response due to forced vibration phase. Okay, I can again do the same thing, and for the free vibration phase, I can again write my R2 as equal to ut divided by UST naught, follow the same procedure, dR2 divided by dt, equate it to 0, and find out what is the maximum response for that. Okay, and if you do that, you will see that for the second phase, you can again get what is the maximum response to the system following the similar procedure. Okay, and I'm not going to write it here. The expression is not so simple. Okay, you can go ahead and check that what you get the final value of expression. Okay, but the time of maximum response, I'm just giving you the final answer, is sine omega n Td minus omega n Td. Okay, this is the time of maximum response that you have, and you can equate it to substitute this value in your expression for R2 to obtain the maximum response. Okay, and this response actually is not asymptotic. Okay, this is actually a vibrating function. Okay, so R2, okay, R2 when you substitute, it is actually a vibrating function. Okay, and you can substitute that and see what do you get. Okay, so if you try to plot the expression for R2, it looks like something like this. Okay, so this is R2 here. And then you can go ahead and you can combine both functions. Okay, you can go ahead and combine both functions to get the final response of the system. Okay, the peak response combining both the free and the forced vibration. Okay, so let me just go ahead and plot this. So from the R1, I was getting something like this. Okay, and from R2, it was something like this. Now this value, the crossover point is